Namaskar everyone. This is Kolkata, a city in India, and I'm driving through Harish Mukherjee Road, which is a very significant road for many reasons. I will talk about that soon. Today is 24th May. In India, we are in a lockdown for the last 2 months. Exactly 2 months back, on 24th March, the Prime Minister of our country announced that the country would be going on a lockdown. And boy, what a severe and harsh lockdown it has been. It is known the world over that India has actually instituted and stipulated a lockdown, and it has implemented a lockdown which is stricter than any other lockdown anywhere in the world. Have we got results? Has it yielded results? Has it been good or not? That's the question I wanted to explore today. And in order to get an answer, a reasonable answer to this very difficult question, I have decided to come early in the morning and traverse this road, which is called Harish Mukherjee Road. This road takes us towards it. We will cross the place where the Chief Minister of our state, Srimati Mamata Bandyopadhyay, she lives. She's a very respected leader, has been one for many years, and but that's not the reason why I am here on this road. The reason is because just a few blocks away from where she lives is a temple called the Kalighaat Kali temple, and it is that Kali temple which has brought me here, because there is really so much confusion about this, with all kind of theories abounding. There are conspiracy theories everywhere, and we know about them, and there are medical theories. There are all kinds of logic for and against the lockdown. One really needs to understand whether this decision was the right decision or not, and that is what has brought me here. Why specifically to this Kali temple? Because, well, as a small child, when I was really young, we were growing up in a place called Bihar, which is a different state. But we had very many relatives here in Kolkata. And whenever my parents would bring me to Kolkata here, my father, who was a big Kali Bhakt himself, would bring us to the Kali temple. Now, I must clarify that personally I do not consider myself a big Kali Bhakt. But my father was one, and it so happened that he actually in 2018 he died exactly on the day Kali Puja, or the worship of Kali, is done. And when we were taking him to the crematorium, all along the way the Kali Puja was going on in the city, and it was as if Ma Kali was waving to him, asking him to come to him, or waving goodbye, whichever way you look at it. Now, there is also another reason why this is significant, because as a small child I was very fearful. Now, I was a very fearful child. Even if I had to go to the bathroom, my parents or someone would have to stand by next to me, so that I was afraid someone would catch me. Now, I don't know, but maybe the source of this fear was, its psychology says that it's all imagery and all that. Now, the image of Goddess Kaali is really frightening. She's a goddess, black in color, with her red tongue sticking out, like this, and she has a garland of human heads which are severed from their body, with blood dripping from their neck, and she's wearing a garland of human heads, some black, some white, and she has a bloody mace in her hand, with which she's not exactly a mace, a weapon, with which it's called a khadag in Indian language. I don't know what it would be called in English, but it's a bloody weapon which is blood dripping. And then she has 4 hands. 2 of her hands she has again severed heads held with their hair, with blood dripping, and her vahan, which is an animal which is really feeding on the blood that is dripping. So it's really a horrific image, an image that would make any small child fearful. And I don't know whether it was that image or something else which had instilled this fear in me. But I was a really fearful child as I was growing up. But I must confess, with the passing of days, as I have grown up, I have also somehow gotten over entire range of fear. And to the time today, somehow I feel that there is nothing nothing at all that can make me fearful. Well, I might be corrected, but at least in the recent past, last 10 years or so, there is nothing that I have been afraid of. So I would like to take all of you in this journey of mine from this utter fearfulness to this complete fearlessness. And at some point, it has been important for me to understand the ethos of Kali in order to get over my own sense of fear. For that, I will have to share the story or the myth of Kali as we heard it in our dharma, from our elders. And the myth is very interesting. It's a story. We don't want to debate about the truth behind it, but it's a story. The story goes like this: that when there was complete adharma or complete lack of righteousness, which had overcome the world, then all the gods, the devatas, as they are called in India, the gods, they reach out to Mahadev, who's the god of gods, so to say. Mahadev, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahadev, Maheshwar. These are the trinity in the Hindu religion. So they reach out to Mahadev, who's considered the god of gods, for an answer. They say that we cannot handle the adharma, the lack of righteousness, the evil that is going on in the planet today. And you need to do something. It is beyond us. So Mahadev then, discusses with Brahma, who's the creator, and they come out with a new Shakti, a new goddess. And this goddess is the goddess Roop of Kali, goddess form of Kali. And this goddess is Bhayanak, that means fierce. So fierce that she will stop at nothing. And they arm her with this weapon, which is Shakti-shali, as in with utter energy, so much power that it can be stopped by nothing. And they unleash this new form of goddess on the planet. And Kali comes down and she starts butchering one and all, without looking at who is evil or who is good, who is evil force or who is divine force. Without making any distinction, she just starts butchering one and all. And that is really the form that we see. That is how the story goes. Once this happens, then all the gods, once again, they go back to Mahadev. And they say that, well, what is going on? What have you done? Even because of the evil forces that were existing on Earth, on planet Earth, if Earth would have got destroyed in a few years, now what you have unleashed, this will destroy Earth in a few days. You need to do something now. Well, Mahadev says, oh, well, then I don't know what to do. We've already unleashed her. Now I guess I have to personally go down if you have to do something. And so he comes down personally. And what he does is he actually lies down. He knows the path that this Mahashakti, this goddess, is going to take. And he actually lies down on that path, on the way which she's going to take. And as he lies down, he knows that Goddess Kali is going to traverse this path and she's going to step on him. And incidentally, I'll take a break. This is the road where, this is exactly the road where our Chief Minister lives. And from here, a few blocks away, is the Kali temple where we are headed. So, back to the story. So Mahadev knows that, well, this is the only way to stop her. If I lie down on her path and I let me just get the camera right. Yeah, okay. So he knows if I lie down on the path and if she steps on me, then she's going to wake up. She's going to realize a mistake. So he does that. He lies down, and lo behold, Kali comes, and as she's walking by, destroying all the forces, evil or good, she suddenly steps on Mahadev. And as she steps on Mahadev, that is the exact point where she becomes conscious again and does it. So this sticking out of the tongue, ish, as we say, is an expression of realization, is an expression of realization of one's mistake. When we know we have made a mistake, we stick out our tongue, in India at least. That's very cultural. I don't know if that's universally true or not everywhere in all cultures, but it is true in many cultures that we stick out the tongue to really denote the confession or the realization of a mistake. And that's a very instinctive kind of expression. It's not a tutored expression. This is the kind of expression that everyone, people are very, very used to. So that is exactly the moment that is frozen in our dharma, in our religion, in our myths. That is the moment. That means even gods can make a mistake. So that is the story that is behind the story of Goddess Kaali. And somehow it is this realization that has helped me to understand my own mistakes, and get over my own fears in life. And I think somewhere within that, we will find an answer to the question, was the lockdown the right thing to do? And the answer that I get from this insight that I have about Kali and about my dharma is that, of course, it was the right thing to do. Of course. It was not only the right thing to do, it was the only thing to do. But the right thing to do now is to realize the mistake of that decision. Do you get the point? It was the right thing to do at that point. But the right thing to do at this point of time is to realize the mistake and not to perpetrate and continue that decision. And not only not continue that decision and say that, okay, we are lifting the lockdown, but also very vehemently and clearly, unequivocally maintain that it was a mistake. Realize that it was indeed a mistake, and it was a mistake that was inevitable, that it had to be a decision that had to be taken in order to restore dharma, restore righteousness. Now, what kind of righteousness? That is a long story. We can talk about all kinds of unsustainable practices that were going on in the world. It was not just to do with coronavirus, but it was not just a response to the coronavirus, I think. But that is another video, another story. But what we should really understand is that there was adharma, or lack of, or hopelessness really, which had besotted the world. And in a situation like that, a decision, a fierce decision like the lockdown, which didn't make a distinction between who had a robust immune system and who did not, whose immune system was compromised. We had a whole bunch of this country whose immune system was strong enough that it would not be scathed or touched by the coronavirus. And we did have a large bunch of people, a small percentage maybe, but a huge population whose immune system was compromised. They wouldn't be able to bear the strain of the coronavirus, and the health system wouldn't have been able to bear the strain of that. So it was indeed an inevitable decision. But that apart, all the kind of unsustainable practices that were going on in this country and in the world at large was something that required this drastic decision making of one kind or the other. And we are glad that this decision has happened. But the time has come to realize the mistake and to confess and to be able to boldly say, to make an unequivocal statement that yes, it was a mistake, and that will, making that unequivocal confession is going to give us, all of us, our leaders, us as people of this country, the power and the strength to face all the inevitable problems that are going to come from this. And not only face, but really come out winners from this. Because everything has been kind of unsettled. There is the equilibrium is gone. To find out the new equilibrium, the new balance, we will have to have to think differently, behave differently, become different really, become fearless, become confident, not careless, but fearless. We got to wear our seatbelts. We got to stop the car whenever we think that it is not prudent enough to drive the car and make a video. We got to stop the car and then do the video. So we got to be careful, but we got to be fearless. And it is a time when it is very likely that we, the people, are going to feel that we need to find someone to blame. And it is very likely that we will blame the leaders who we saw taking these decisions, whether it's the Prime Minister from BJP or the Chief Minister from Trinamool or from other party coalitions. It's very likely that we will blame, and it's very likely that they themselves will blame each other, etc. But it's important to understand that this is not the time to blame each other or blame our leaders. It's a time to stand behind them, give them all the power, to give them the conviction that we are going to pardon them, even if they confess their mistakes. We are Janata Janardhan. We are not going to go and fight against them and stand in parliament and, all 130 crores will not stand in line to get votes. We're going to line up and give them votes. Yes, we are a democracy and we will always be a largest and the strongest democracy in the world. So what's there to fear? We are going to be confident from now on, and we're going to transmit this confidence to our leaders and tell them, Karumat, do not take decisions based on WHO or some other world power which forces you to take decisions. Take decisions which are right for us. I am really, really concerned about decisions being taken in the last few days. ICMR has come out with the guidelines. That's a topic for another video. But come out with guidelines for how death certificates will be written in this country. And of course it follows the WHO guidelines, but it's amazing what those guidelines will do. It will perpetrate a piece of unreality. It will perpetrate a piece of lie about the number of people who are dying of coronavirus. That's a topic for another video. I'm not going there, but it's very important that such decisions are taken very carefully, that we don't rush through just because WHO has prescribed that. We don't rush through. We look at what is right for our people, our country, and take our own decisions with might and confidence, knowing that our people are going to be very, very just, and they're going to be fair, and they're going to be utterly pardoning of all the mistakes. It's not easy to be a leader. It's not easy to lead a country, a state. It's not easy to be Narendra Modi ji or Mamata Didi. It's very, very difficult, believe me. And you and me cannot become that person overnight. So we got to stand behind all of them, give them all the force that they need, all the might that they need, and tell them that don't be afraid of us. We are going to take whatever it takes to be behind you, so that all of us, we as a country, as a people, can take the right decisions for ourselves and become a robust country once again. But the final answer, as I move towards Kalighaat, the red light has become green, and I'm slowly moving towards Kalighaat, which used to give us the answers, many an answer to these questions. The inevitable answer that I get as I move towards Kalighaat is, well, the lockdown was inevitable. The lockdown was the right thing to do. It was indeed the only thing to do. But not confessing that the lockdown was a mistake will be a wrong thing to do. Not understanding the mistake behind the lockdown will be a wrong thing to do. And hence I say the lockdown was the right thing to do, but time has come to realize our mistake.